Some students call them smart pills or brain steroids. Adderall and Ritalin are legal stimulants prescribed for attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, in ever greater numbers. Now, for years now, students who don't have that problem have been taking the drugs for a competitive edge. But the problem is growing.
It does help you concentrate.
John Howard is studying mechanical engineering and living in a dorm room at Georgia Tech.
The Ritalin is a controlled substance, so I had to keep it under lock and key.
He has taken Ritalin for attention deficit hyperactivity disorder for most of his life, switching recently to a non-stimulant version. Without it, everything is more difficult.
I can't stay on task, and that because I can't stay on task and I can't, finish my homework or finish studying, I get frustrated.
And more than once, classmates who found out he was taking a prescription stimulant would suggest the possibility of sharing. Now, Ritalin and its cousin Adderall, which is a combination of amphetamines, can enhance a student's focus and endurance for studying, even if they don't have ADHD.
There's always that awkward joke where, like, well, I might have to come and see you, when exams come around. And, you kind of laugh it off and that was it. But a lot of people who would say that joke, were actually serious.
The abuse of Ritalin and Adderall has been a problem on college campuses for years, but police tell us it's getting more serious. Each pill goes for between $3 and $10 on campus, and you might be surprised who's buying them. Very often they're good students looking for a competitive edge and perhaps not entirely clear about the side effects or the law.
It's really ballooned in the last 5 years.
Lieutenant Mike Hunsinger is the commander of the Drug Task Force in the Athens-Clarke County area.
I've never seen a prescription drug that has had the appeal to the college age group, late teens, early 20s age group that Adderall has had.
Lieutenant Hunsinger says the task force used to see 1 or 2 cases of Ritalin or Adderall abuse a year. Now it's more like once a month. And he attributes the increase to the fact that so many legitimate prescriptions are now being written for ADHD.
They don't think of it as being that serious. They think, well, all my friends are getting it prescribed to them. What's the big deal with me taking it?
Well, one answer is that these are Schedule II controlled substances, and buying or selling them without a prescription is a felony.
It's not something to be taken lightly when it's at the same level legally as cocaine and methamphetamine.
And then there's the fact that Ritalin and Adderall can be addictive. At high doses, they can cause irregular heartbeat and even heart attack. And once the drug wears off, the crash is terrible. One straight-A student told us that she couldn't sleep for 2.5 days after taking one 20-milligram dose of Adderall, and the body aches, she said, were excruciating.
I know a lot of people take it for English and history and stuff like that, where they have to, read a lot of information. They have to stay up and they have to focus on what they're reading.
I don't really think it's fair for people to do that, because there are those of us who are just going to work really hard and do without it.
Students have used stimulants to study for as long as there's been amphetamine out there.
Dr. Mike Friedline, a drug counselor and intervention specialist at UGA, says so-called smart pills don't actually make students any smarter, but those who abuse them often become dependent, at least psychologically.
If you do Adderall, you do well on the test, and that's rewarding for doing the Adderall. And what happens is people begin to doubt their own ability to do well on tests without using the extra edge that Adderall gives them.
And the pressure to succeed starts early. Roswell psychiatrist Dr. Richard Weiner says he's seen parents who want their children on Ritalin with an eye toward testing well and getting into a good college.
Some people think that's the way medication should be, that they'll take it with the hope of improving and enhancing academic performance to, in a sense, just get them over the top, so to speak, to get the grades they're really looking for.
I guess I was diagnosed in the first grade.
For John Howard, the medication is essential to living a normal life. But those who don't need it, John says, shouldn't take it, for an even more basic reason.
Is it cheating? Using it without, I would say it's, without a prescription, it's cheating. It's wrong.
Brain steroids. And again, the problem is fueled in part by the explosion in diagnoses of ADHD in recent years. Now, having said that, Dr. Weiner says as many as 10 million adults probably meet the criteria for ADHD, and only about 1 million of them are being treated. So